On our latest episode, Josh Peterson and I talk a huge amount of news at D23, the Disneyland Expo that just rocked the world with the latest news in pop culture. We also talk about what was best and what was, we also talk about what was best at the show and what news items had us a bit surprised. We also talk about War for the Planet of the Apes' big win at the box office this weekend, with us deciding if this should be a series that should finally be left alone. There's also a recap of EVO 2017 and we answer the question if fighting games are the best representation of esports, or what will it take to get the general audience out there tuned in. There's also a recap of E2017 and answer the question if fighting games are really the best representation of esports, or if the general consumer needs more to tune in to the next fighting tournament. All this plus some clips from the latest podcast from Humanica Media and another hit song from Plasma Z. It's another mid-air combo to the gut of podcasting punches we have for you today, as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. The pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being here and listening in for the broadcast here today. Whether you do it on the Podcast Radio Network, where we've been #1 5 straight months in a row, or if you do it on any one of the downloading, podcasting, and streaming options, we just truly appreciate it. And here to help me, as always, is here it's the main man at Humanica Media. He is the man, the myth, the legend. It's Josh Peterson. We missed all the good stuff from D23, my friend.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's too bad. I heard a lot of good stuff came out of there. I've been reading about it all week.
Yes, indeed. A lot of main stuff hit this weekend. Just barreling on through. I'll tell you what, Disney, when they go all out, they go all out, and it's not just the usual suspects when it comes to Star Wars, Marvel, and whatnot. We'll talk about that and then some, but also as well a whole list of other things that they treat their fans with. Some things that are new, some things that are just great changes they're making to their parks that are just gets Disney fans excited indeed, and anybody out there who enjoys that bit of Disney culture like we do. But first,
on a positive note, though, this is the first year that a popular video game franchise has made an appearance at D23, so that could be
indeed. It actually two different video games made an appearance this weekend, as far as on the Marvel end and also on the Disney end as well. So we'll definitely talk about that as well. But first, I know there's a lot of stuff going on with your project that is pumping out all those great sounding and great, awesome listen to podcasts. So what is going on with everything at Humanica Media?
Yeah, there's not. You can listen to Attack of the Humanicans on Tuesdays, and yeah, you can get a taste of all the shows. Sorry, it's on the Podcast Radio Network. You get a taste of some of the podcasts we got coming at you. We got What About This and Topicocalypse and Super BS. Yes, there's some changes coming to that one, so you'll find that out soon. But yeah, you can tune into that or check it out on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Or Podbean, indeed, all those great channels to listen to anything that Humanica Media is putting out. But if you want to get a taste of everything plus original content, you want to check into Attack of the Humanicans Tuesday nights on the Podcast Radio Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Again, it's on the Podcast Radio Network indeed. Well, we've got a great show lined up. We're also going to talk a little bit about EVO 2017. about all the different things that went on there, but also a bigger picture, because I want to talk to Josh exactly his thoughts on the actual esports genre itself, and ask him if it's something he's truly interested in, and if not, what's going to get him to turn that corner. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Plus, also as well, we're going to be talking the big win for Planet of the Apes, and at this point, we're going to decide whether or not they should just leave the series alone for a little while, just put that on the shelf it's on a great note, or do they want to keep on going with even more Planet of the Apes content indeed? And then we'll also pay our respects to two great artists in the movie genre that we lost this weekend. Definitely we'll talk about their contributions to the art of film coming up at the end of the show. Plus, we're also going to have a great song from Plasma Z, and then, just also get some taste of the latest stuff going on at Humanica Media as well. So, Josh, D23 looks like it was a blast this weekend. I was tuning in and out as far as all the news that was popping up, ping, 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 right and left going on, as far as all through the internet and all through social media, as far as what was being sent out, as the all great announcements, whether they were about a new ride coming to one of the Disney parks, Epcot Center and Disney World being redone, even from everything big, like Marvel Hotel in near Disneyland Paris, I believe, and then also even as well a Ratatouille ride that's being done also as well, that's in the near future, I believe, at the Epcot Center in Orlando, Florida as well. And then also the rearrangements here for us that are in this side of the hemisphere. Disneyland's going to make some changes to the California Adventure part of it and turn that more into a Pixar type format. So before we get to those subtle changes to the theme parks that are going everywhere, there was a lot of great film announcements going on with Star Wars, Marvel, and so much more. So first off, what hit you hard and hit you hard the most when it came to the news at D23?
There's D23 is weird because there's not really a lot of the news is interesting, but they don't really show you anything. They showed us the Kingdom Hearts trailer, which was cool, and I'm still trying to decide if I want to go back and play the other ones. But as
that's
far as
Kingdom Hearts 3, which is coming out next year. The announcement was that there's going to be a Toy Story Land within the game. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they showed us some gameplay from it. You start out in Andy's room, and then you kind of go along the rooftops and the streets to the toy store, to where you fight whoever the blonde emo kid is. But I have this problem with Kingdom Hearts in the fact that it doesn't make any sense at all. This was Kingdom Hearts was written by the same guy that wrote Final Fantasy 13, those 3 games, and he kind of just he doesn't make any sense. It's like he uses just quick lines of dialogue to try to connect pieces together, and ends up creating a narrative that is incredibly hard to follow. So I want to play Kingdom Hearts just for the sake of like the Disney and seeing all of my favorite Final Fantasy characters in there, but I hear that they're a grind, so I'm not sure how quickly I want to jump into them. But this new game does look fun. It looks like it'll be a good time to have go back into the Toy Story world. And I'm wondering if they're going to try to get the voice actors from Toy Story to play, like Buzz and Woody and all those guys, because as it so happens, they are working on production for Toy Story 4 as we speak.
That's a definite possibility as well. I'm hoping they'll make a better effort than Electronic Arts has done with its Star Wars Battlefront in the past. And I hope most likely Star Wars Battlefront 2, they'll probably stick to their own voice actors, which made me kind of irritated as well every time I had to hear a bogus Han Solo or a bogus Darth Vader trying to say out what they had to say. But anyways, there was also more footage from the upcoming Spider-Man game for the PlayStation 4 from Insomniac. That was great to see. It's looking more and more like a great open world game. So definitely looking forward to that as well. But on the film front, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where do you stand on Web of Shadow? I know that was kind of a very divisive game as far as Spider-Man video games go. What did you ever play it?
Yeah, not. It wasn't exactly for me that memorable experience. But then again, remember, I'm not as high on the Spider-Man whole realm as you are. I can play it. I have no problems with it. I can watch the films. I have no problems watching it. But it wasn't really until Spider-Man Homecoming that I found a connection with the series. I've seen all the movies and played a lot of the games and even watched the cartoon series way back when. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Okay, I won't sing the whole song even though I know it. But it just, I don't know. I just, for some reason, Spider-Man was never my, go-to character when I was a boy or even as an adult. But I find him okay, as we talked about on our previous episode of the PCC Multiverse and how great that film was to me. And I found a connection to Spider-Man that I really never had before. But that game was okay at best, but I don't know. It's Spider-Man's truly been given really some really strong titles that people keep going to. I know there's been an open world Spider-Man done before, but maybe this version
that was Web of Shadows.
Yeah, so that's I'm hoping Insomniac will do a much better job of that and create a more expansive world. But then again, you're limited when you're talking about open world games. You're limited by the actual consoles that you can use, and it's up to the development studios when you're making those open world games. That's when you get to the Bethesdas or the Rockstars who no matter what platform, can create those expansive open worlds that are truly incredible to have. When it comes to someone else that's trading like in Web of Shadows, it's kind of hard for them to really duplicate that process to a T. You run out of stuff to do and run out of stuff to say, okay, catch that criminal here, catch that criminal there. It just becomes redundant. And that's what I'm worried about with the new Spider-Man game, if that's all it's going to be. You know what I mean?
Think about it like this too, though. You have you had Web of Shadows. You had Prototype was a good, pretty good open world game as far as something that takes place in in New York City. So, and we've come bounds and leaps since those two games. So, and it's on the PlayStation 4, and Insomniac is making it. And they've never really made anything that's like super disappointing. So I think that they definitely have the ability, but I don't know if they've never really created something like this. Like I don't know how many open world games they've done in the past.
The true open world games, I mean, it's to this point, it's still up in the air as far as like you. I'm on the fence as far as whether or not they're going to be able to create an expansive world. I mean, open world games are so hard to make as far as to have a world that's filled with so many things to do. I think that's the problem where it comes in. After you're catching criminals or you're trying to catch a helicopter, I mean, what else is there going to be? Or go into this battle or try and tell the story indeed. So I know I'm hoping for something great when it comes to the Spider-Man Spider-Man game. It looked pretty good, but I'm not overwhelmed by it because open world games, it takes a lot to win me over as far as from the expanse point of view, because you and I both experience open world games where you just go out and it's a whole bunch of nothing after a little bit, correct?
Right. A lot of them get really repetitive, but that's, I guess, if you're creating, it's not so much the open world experience, it's the side
What's
quest.
in it?
It's the side quest experience. I think that's what, especially like with Spider-Man games and stuff like that, it's hard to really. Assassin's Creed has been notorious for this too. Like with the a lot of like the Ezio trilogy games, they kind of did the same side quests over and over again. You're doing running races and you're doing secret assassination missions, the pigeon coops and all that. So it's really like it's how you handle that content that is really going to pull people into this open world, because we don't want to, you can have a very beautiful like city. Everything could look really great, but if you're not giving us an experience, then you know, the graphics don't really matter that much.
No, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And then to have the fact that you know there's been so many games like you know the upcoming Spider-Man game that have tried to create that open world expansiveness but have been so limited is just that's why I'm a little bit apprehensive on the project. But we'll see what the game looks like when it comes out, to see if it is that you know, city full of life and you can actually be that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man going after the big guy and the little guy at the same time that's doing all sorts of bad stuff indeed. And also, if it would be great if there's a huge array of villains that you could go after as well. That would be awesome indeed, and make it even more expansive and even more fun to play each and every time you sit down to go ahead and pop that in your console. So that's some of the stuff that was shown as far as video games indeed. And there was also some announcements on obviously the continuing on the theme park and realm. There was also some announcements on the new Star Wars expansion as far as the what's coming to the theme parks as far as the new Star Wars Galaxy Edge. Josh, did you get a chance to see the new layout for this new Star Wars theme park? That's you know, as far as that part of it coming to the Disney World and Disneyland, I believe Disneyland as well, but I know definitely Disney World coming in 2019. Or is it just Disney World?
No, it's also Disneyland. I've been seeing them work on it down here, and I've been down in Anaheim. I'm excited about it, and I know that unfortunately it's going to cause ticket prices to surge, and we're going to have a situation like down here where it takes 6 hours to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to have something like that.
I was there last month, and it only took 5. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I think it's going to be a lot better in Disney World, just because you have a lot of undeveloped land that they're like building and expanding on, whereas down here in Anaheim you have a very small amount. So we're going to be getting like it's just like how Florida's Universal Harry Potter thing and their Universal Studio is a lot bigger than the one here.
Yeah, I went to the one in Florida. And for what all accounts, everybody's told me that it is so much bigger at the one I went to in Florida.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not a lot of places to build down here anymore. So I think that we're going to be getting a mini version of that. And I think because of that, Disneyland is going to have a major crowding problem when it opens. But I'm excited to see it, assuming I can get into it. That's my concern.
I hear you. And I know when I went last year to Disney World, and I went there to the Star Wars themed area part of the Hollywood set that they have there, and that area, that theme park in that realm, the Hollywood Studios, it was fun. It was nice, and it was interactive. But that just gives you a small taste of what they were going to do. So having Star Wars land out there, and like you said, with all the space, they're building the Avatar land and all that. So it's really going to be amazing to see once it finally gets built. And I guess 2019 is the target date. So definitely looking forward to that indeed. And then, but last but not least, I want to talk to you about the films that really. Last but not least, I want to talk to you about the films that really were making the news at D23. So let's start off with some decent stuff. I was nice to see that Star Wars The Last Jedi behind the scenes trailer, as far as you seeing the characters from a little bit from before, behind the lens and whatnot. But you didn't really see a whole lot when it comes to footage. Were you surprised that there was really not too much in the way of footage shown from The Last Jedi? Did that surprise you at all?
No, it didn't, because like I said before, Disney is notorious for doing that stuff, and it's hard because they have they have these really cool things that we all want to see. Like, we go to Comic-Con or E3, like the trailers are usually up pretty close to that time, if not, right after. But it's, with Disney, they show that stuff and you don't get to see, you might not ever get to see it at all. You might have to just wait. So I've been scouring YouTube trying to find like a pirated version of whatever they showed, but couldn't find anything. All I could find were
I think they confiscate phones or
there's a lot of stuff on the comment boards of them talking about that. But yeah, it's I'm excited that from what I've heard, like what I've read about the trailers and stuff, Infinity War looks great. And as far as Star Wars is concerned, I wish they would have shown us more footage. I'm sure we'll get a new trailer soon, just because we're kind of closing in on November here. But I did like seeing the behind the scenes thing. That was pretty neat.
I liked it. I was just hoping, like I said, to have it accompanied by some footage from the actual movie. You always want to see a little bit more. I personally want to see a little bit more and more, because I'm going to go see it regardless of what is shown and what is not shown. We actually, I know you've talked more about trailers showing too much, and in some cases, I can't agree with you more. But when it comes to Star Wars movies, which I'm going to see anyways, I always like to scratch that itch every 3 months or so, just so I can just keep up that anticipation for the movie I'm eventually going to go see anyways. So that's just my little thing. But what I really want to talk about is the movie that stole the show at D23, and that is Infinity Wars. There was a lot in that 4-minute clip which is being detailed but not shown to anyone out there. I'm sure we're going to get a glimpse of it here, hopefully in the near future, for everyone out there. But tell me your thoughts on Thanos really wreaking some havoc upon the Avengers in that short little clip. And actually, was he throwing a planet or a moon or celestial body of some type at the Avengers themselves?
I have no idea. I didn't get to see any of it. I just was reading about it. So
But yeah, the play-by-play said that Thanos actually, in his small battles, small clip from a battle scene, he actually grabs or a planet or celestial body of some type and actually hurls it at the Avengers, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I read too. Well, I know they're fighting in space or somewhere. I mean, just from the description. So I don't know. I would assume he has the power to blow up a planet, but like I said, I really wish I could have seen it, because I don't even know where to be speculating on something like that.
And then we had also from the play-by-play where Doctor Strange and Star-Lord are battling side by side against Thanos. And then also, but how does that come into play? It looks like that the Guardians of the Galaxy, from all what is described, actually runs into Thor, and that's how the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy start to, they actually initially meet up right there and then. But we'll have to see more elaborate details on that, and hopefully we're going to be able to get a glimpse from this awesome video, which stole the show at D23 this. Hopefully as soon as we possibly can on it. Indeed, that's going to be some great viewing. Indeed, I know it'll be getting me even more hyped for Infinity Wars when it comes out next year. There was also some other good stuff shown. I guess some stuff from The Incredibles 2, which I know you and I are both excited about. Tell me your thoughts on what you're hoping for with Incredible 2. And I think it's going to, from what I've read, that they talked about in the panel, that it's going to have more details, and story will focus more on Elastigirl this time.
From what I read, I heard that it was going to pick up like almost immediately after the first Incredibles. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, I mean, it's
which
definitely
means obviously an appearance by the Underminer again.
Yeah, and it's definitely a big gap. I hope to see Samuel L. Jackson's Frozone back in that, because he was really funny. Yeah, my concern with this is that they
play a bigger part as well. That would be
my concern is that they waited too long to make this sequel. So I hope that people go out there in droves to watch it, just to justify its existence and maybe get us another one. Because I would have much rather had 3 Incredible movies and a couple spin-offs rather than 3 Cars movies and more spin-offs than I'm able to count.
I definitely agree with you. I thought The Incredibles, even back then, was the way to go. Personally, that is my favorite Pixar film. And as someone who enjoys a great deal of the Pixar films, that's saying something. But yeah, The Incredibles to me is, I think it's the best of the Pixar films, just slightly ahead of Toy Story 1 and 3, but that's my personal observation. But it's close because they're all well-made films from the Pixar camp. They don't turn many things out. I mean, I know Cars, the series, is not considered the highest of material, but definitely that, even that has been okay fair. But you're right. Should that have gone ahead of an incredible sequel? No, but I'm just glad to see them doing it at this point. But you're right, that big, we've seen before in recent past when movies have that big gap, and Blade Runner 2049 is going to be another example of that. Do audiences really, care when you have that big gap, and will they come back to it in large numbers? So that's something we're going to be able to find out rather shortly. When The Incredibles 2 comes out next year as well. So definitely looking forward to that. And there were some great announcements from Pixar as well. They have a untitled suburban fantasy movie on the way. There's Coco, obviously. They showed more of that. And Olaf's Frozen Adventure, because, Frozen 2, I'm assuming, is coming very, very soon in the near future. Well, it is coming soon in the near future. They finally settled on a cast Disney did for the upcoming Guy Ritchie Aladdin film. And we talked before how big a fan you are of Guy Ritchie. So does this mean you're going to be heading out to theaters to watch the new Aladdin film as well?
Heck yeah. What I'm curious about is if Guy Ritchie can pull off a musical. I know he's good. Aladdin, if he directed any Disney movie, Aladdin would be the perfect one, because he's spent most of his career writing and directing movies about thieves. So this is definitely up his alley. The musical aspect, I'm curious to see how he pulls that off. But I hope we get a lot of those like quick cut scenes. Like, those are my favorite type of Guy Ritchie action. I know you might disagree with me on that, but I hope he's able to put his style into this movie and still have it come out as good as Beauty and the Beast did.
And not like King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Except you're wrong.
But I'm right. Anyways, let's hope and see that's going to be. I know there was some controversy about, they were having a hard time finding the lead actor for the film. So I'm glad that they finally settled on the cast, and it's nice to see that everything is proceeding forward with it. Mary Poppins, obviously, we're excited to see Emily Blunt play that character and see how that's going to work out when it comes to theaters next year. They talked a little bit about that as well. But I think one of the films that they showed off that I really was interested in was A Wrinkle in Time. Josh, did you get any, check out any of the footage from A Wrinkle in Time? Because the trailer is now up. It has some big names in the cast, from Chris Pine, Oprah Winfrey, Mindy Kaling, and Zach Galifianakis. I always say his name wrong, but did you get a chance to see A Wrinkle in Time? It looks like it's going to be, it looks like it might be a little bit of a kids fair thing, but it's got that nice little edge as far as from a science fiction and fantasy aspect that might actually get audiences to come in to see the film. So what were your thoughts on A Wrinkle in Time?
It looked interesting. I read the book when I was in school. It was a super long time ago. I don't remember much of it, but it, just from watching the trailer, it kind of looks like it's going to end up being another Tomorrowland. Like, it'll do okay, but it's not going to be like, I don't see it being a very big hit among Disney fans, or even just people in general. Like, it'll entertain, but it won't be something they'll be like, I really wish I could go watch that again.
And I agree with you on that, as from that realm, from Tomorrowland. But Tomorrowland had a huge budget ticket attached to it. So that's what I want to know. That's what the first thing I want to see is, what is the purported budget of this film? Because maybe Disney has learned its lesson when dealing with films like this from a totally, or even if it's an adaptation from a totally new film concept coming to the marketplace, and not to attach a 150, $200 million price ticket to it like they did with Tomorrowland, and thinking that, oh yeah, okay, we'll name this movie after one of our sections in our park and everything will be great. Well, it wasn't so great.
Tomorrowland had a budget of 190 million, and this one had a budget of 103 million. So there's
A Wrinkle in Time. A Wrinkle in Time is 103.
103 million. So there's definitely some, some money there. But if you look at this cast, instead of having one really famous actor in there to carry the movie, they have several smaller talents. But I think they're smaller talents that people like a little bit more than George Clooney.
But they're surrounding a central character, I believe. Is that correct? That's I don't know, kid, child, something like that, of that nature. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like a young girl and a young boy too. I don't just if I remember the trailers, but yeah, it's got a very, very diverse cast, and it looks like they all, just from the trailers, it looks like they all have pretty good chemistry. I like Chris Pine. I don't think the budget's gonna be like a big problem. It looks like it's a lot of CG going on here, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look epic to me. Like when I read A Wrinkle in Time, I always pictured it as like this epic, sci-fi adventure, kind of like The Abyss when I watched that as a kid. But
it looks like a nice story, maybe like in the realm of what's the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe type deal, as far as maybe that, or the Golden Compass, maybe in that realm, where it was meant to be something larger, but when it came on screen, it's like, it tells a nice story, whatnot. Correct?
Yeah, you have to remember too, the book is like, I think it's like less than 200 pages, so it's not really like the big thick novels that we all see coming out of like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and stuff. But I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch it probably when it comes out. But I'm curious. I'm definitely curious. So I hope that it's not. And Reese Witherspoon is in it, so there's that. She hasn't been in anything for a really long time. So we'll see. It isn't the director. She is the one directing Black Panther, correct? Ava DuVernay, right? Or she did. Is that right? She did Selma.
Yeah, she did Selma, but I don't think she's doing Black Panther. I can check on that while we're.
It was offered to her once, I think. I thought I was reading about that, but yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see like where it goes, how the cast gets along with each other. I think a big portion of Tomorrowland's budget, like I said before, was probably spent on George Clooney. So this is not based on any popular Disney ride or attraction or anything. So if this does better than Tomorrowland, it'll definitely be a good thing for Disney, I think.
Definitely, and you hit it right on the money. She did turn down Black Panther, so she is definitely a director that is wanted, and definitely this. She's not directing Black Panther because she went obviously to direct this film instead. So definitely looks like someone who has a great deal of talent, and Selma's a great movie if that's any indication of her talent and her skills. So definitely looking forward to this one. I saw the trailer, I really liked it, and I think this is something that could be a little bit surprised, but obviously it's not going to hold in the same blockbuster mindset as maybe some of the other Disney films, but with $103 million budget, it really doesn't have to do as well because the stakes are not as high. But you don't want it to do like a Pete's Dragon did last year or whatnot. You want it to do at least maybe 300, 400, 500 million as far as that's concerned, and it'll definitely be able to make Disney happy would be my estimation indeed. But we'll have to wait and see on A Wrinkle in Time. It definitely looks good, and we'll hopefully get a chance to update you even more as more information comes out on it. But all in all, D23, I mean, we've talked a lot about it on today's episode. There was a lot of great news, and obviously if you get a chance out there and you wanted to know more about what went on in D23 and the D23 Expo, just head on over to the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page or the Twitter, as far as the Twitter account at Pop Culture Cosmo, or Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. And we have a list, an entire list on our news feed on both accounts of just endless information as far as the articles there from all various sources around the internet in regards to all the news that was announced at D23 Expo. So if you want to catch up on everything that went on, check it out right there indeed. Well, it's going to be another great episode. Again, like I said, we've got a lot of great stuff coming up, including some stuff from Humanican Media. Also, as well, we're going to talk a little bit EVO 2017. And then don't forget, we've got another great conversation as well in regards to the Planet of the Apes. And then we're also going to talk a little Doctor Who on the episode as well. So, but first, we've got Plasma Z, another great song from Plasma Z. Let's see what I want to play here. I'm going to play from me. Oh, okay. But first, we got another great song from Plasma Z. This is Mango, and this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. If by any chance you're not able to catch us on the Pop Culture Cosmos, normal time on the Podcast Radio Network, that is no problem at all, because we are on a numerous array of downloading, streaming, and podcasting options, including first and foremost Apple Podcasts, which you might know better as iTunes, TuneIn, the Ace Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, and the Gonna Geek Network as well. And when you do listen to us on one of those downloading, streaming, and podcasting options, hey, we throw in some bonus footage, whether it's from Humanican Media, whether it's from Rob McCallum Films, Wine, Women, and Words, Game Source, what have you. We throw in a little bit of extra goodness just for listening. So, Josh, it was a big weekend outside of the D23 Expo. There was a nice little battle that we previewed on Friday's show with the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes, and Spider-Man Homecoming. I was a little bit surprised at Spider-Man Homecoming falling 61% estimated. That's one of the higher ends of the spectrum when it comes to second week drops for a Marvel Cinematic Universe product. But what are your thoughts on the War for the Planet of the Apes ending the series right here and then? They kind of, from all instances, the War of the Planet of the Apes looks like it could be ending at this point in time. But you even mentioned on the PCC Multiverse that director Matt Reeves, has said there's a lot of places the Planet of the Apes could go. Is that correct?
Right, because there's still a lot of story to tell that would not put him in Tim Burton territory. So I think that there's a lot of people who still have an interest in that. And you have what Planet of the Apes has done a great job of is not only bring in new fans into the franchise, but it's done a good job of keeping fans of the originals interested in a newer property. So I think that there is a lot of story to tell, and I hope that they explore that. But the question is, will Fox wait for Matt Reeves' contract with in the DC universe to expire before exploring any more of these ideas, or will they have Matt Reeves on as like a producer or consultant and then go with another director?
I kind of disagree with you on that. Not that the Planet of the Apes isn't a good property. Obviously, it's been a really, really strong property the last three films, as far as from a critical standpoint. All three have garnered numerous accolades. Indeed, with the latest having a really nice Metacritic and fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But I'm just kind of worried about fatigue, as far as, again, another franchise fatigue, because the latest, even though it did hit #1 on the box office this weekend, it was down considerably over the previous iteration. The sequel in 2014 actually garnered more in its first weekend than War for the Planet of the Apes did. So it's trending downward, which is never a good sign. And then also,
what are you disagreeing with me on, though?
well, you think it's there's a lot of room for more for the Planet of the Universe, this Planet of the Apes universe, as far as more films, more stuff. I personally think that they should just stop while the getting's good and just leave it alone for an extended period of time. And I'm talking at least 10 years, because if they decide to go ahead with another entry into the Planet of the Apes, I think it will, no matter how good the film is, I think it will disappoint. The end result will disappoint, because I see signs that there is going to be some fatigue, like Despicable Me 3 we just saw. It did not do as well as its predecessor, so it's starting that downward climb, and that's kind of in detail as well.
Right. They don't have to make them. They don't have to make them right away. I'm just saying, like, there is room to tell more stories in this universe, as opposed.
But you know, the movie industry, they can wait once they see something that's done halfway decent.
But if you wait 10 years from now, like, it's not going to. Chances are it's not going to be part of this new one, which is such a great universe. It's going to be a completely another reboot, and that's not really something that we do need, is another retelling. We have enough reboots going on right now.
Well, are you familiar with the original Planet of the Apes, as far as where that series went, as far as the numerous, and I mean numerous, Planet of the Apes films that were made after it all the way into the 70s?
Yeah, and that was a little bit overkill. I think they've done a very good job with these new ones, though, and they're.
But that's what I'm worried about, is that they are going to be on the verge of going into overkill if they keep on doing it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they don't have to do it right away, but it's one of those franchises where I'm not saying that they should keep making them, but I'm just saying there is room to tell more stories here if they chose to do it, and if they absolutely had to, there is a way to keep it. I think there's still room to keep it fresh and interesting, should fans have an outcry for it, I suppose.
Well, if Matt Reeves is too busy in the DC universe to be able to do it to Fox's liking, Josh Peterson will definitely step up to the plate, writing and directing the next installment of the Planet of the Apes. How about that?
Yeah, sure. I'm down. Give me a good script, and we'll make it happen.
How much do you want on the percentage of the gate?
I don't know. What's the typical rate for something like that? I only direct movies that cost me about $30. So.
Okay. Well, so you want all your money up front. That's fine. I hear you. Just in case.
Tangible. That's all.
Okay. Playing it safe, indeed. But if I don't know, if there's a lot of stuff that's going on with the Planet of the Apes universe, there is more room to tell. I'm just worried if they tell it, it's going to seem like overkill, and you're going to get the same situation you had in the 70s when they made, I'm not going to even say one too many. They made at least two too many Planet of the Apes movies, more than what they should have, if not more. And that's just, it took away from Charlton Heston's great performance when they were trying to go ahead and repeat that whole area. And I understand they were cheap to make. They were something that people wanted to see on a regular basis, and they could be, churned out really quickly at that point in time. I'm just afraid of that going down that rabbit hole again, and just finding a bad ending to what looks to be a really, really strong trilogy, and really maybe not underappreciated, overlooked, but also definitely a trilogy that definitely stands up with almost every other really, really solid movie trilogy that has been out there indeed. What are your thoughts on the Planet of the Apes series? Should they keep on going, or should they just stop it right here? Let me hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter. And also, send in your thoughts as well on the D23 Expo. what's your thought of what you've read so far on the Infinity Wars trailer? Does that blow your mind like it blows our minds? And then also as well, everything that's going on from the video games we were talking about as well to even the improvements that they're making at the Disney parks all around the world. We definitely want to hear your thoughts indeed. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, or also Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source, and Facebook and Twitter as well. And we want to also send a special shout out to Doctor Who fans out there, because definitely appreciate that they are going to go ahead and, well, for the next Doctor Who, which is the 13th, we'll finally have a female Doctor Who, which I think is long overdue, and definitely appreciate them going ahead and do that. But Jodie Whittaker, congratulations to you for garnering that role of Doctor Who. And Josh, you and I may not be the greatest fans of Doctor Who, but we do respect where Doctor Who is in the sci-fi genre, and also to the British television and British culture, and also how that has evolved into where a lot of American fans dig Doctor Who as well. So if you want to share your thoughts on this great change, that looking forward to some forward progress within the Doctor Who series. The long-running series, I should say.
Yeah, I've never watched Doctor Who. People keep recommending it to me. I would assume that Doctor Who, in order for them to even consider somebody to play Doctor Who, they'd have to be able to really hold their own on screen and be an actor that people would remember. And what was the lady's name that got it?
Jodie Whittaker.
And if Jodie Whittaker was selected to play such an iconic role, she must have something enchanting about her that sci-fi fans are going to flock to. Because BBC that's Doctor Who's BBC, I'm pretty sure, right?
That's correct. Yeah, and just like I said, the Doctor Who series, embodies British television as far as and how that has come over here and garnered a lot of interest among American fans as well.
Right. So this isn't a decision they would make lightly. So congratulations to her. And assuming I ever have time to watch Doctor Who, I will be looking forward to seeing how she handles the role.
Definitely, indeed. I'm curious to see what our friends at the ESO network, both Mikes out there that run the great Doctor Who podcast on the ESO Broadcasting Network, I want to give them a listen to. Think about the change, and I definitely think for me it's great to see this kind of progress. And obviously, like you said, she embodies the spirit, or they believe at the BBC that she embodies the spirit of Doctor Who. So it's going to be interesting to see how that lays out, because it's such a long running series, and she is 13 doctors in, the 13th Doctor, and congratulations to her, and just we're excited to see what she does next for the series indeed. If you have thoughts on her becoming the next Doctor Who, share us your thoughts as well. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, also as well Humanican Media, Pop Culture Cosmos, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. I'm going to do Evo now. And we're back with Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. Again, we've got two other great shows coming up this week to the Podcast Radio Network. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. It is This Man Show, Josh Peterson, and Attack of the Humanicans. That's a great show, not only showcasing his shows and his programs and podcasts, but also as well some original content as well, just for people listening on the Podcast Radio Network. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And then also the PCC Multiverse. We actually bookend your week here at Pop Culture Cosmos. So check it out Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network as well. So, Josh, I was all excited. I had talked to our man in the know when it comes to esports. He actually competed it at Evo this weekend, the Evo Fighting World Championships that took place here in Las Vegas. They were the matches were shown on Twitch to hundreds of thousands of viewers. The also Disney XD showcased the Super Smash Brothers Melee tournament on Evo, and then also the big finals from Street Fighter V were shown on ESPN 2. So I ask you, Josh, I got all excited watching some good matches. I especially enjoyed one with when it came to Tekken 7 with Echo Fox, and then also was matching up against Knee. That was a pretty good back and forth, tit for tat type deal. So I ask you, Josh, I was all excited in watching Evo and watching a couple hours of it here and there over the course of the weekend, and also rooting for our good friend here, Christian Zamudio. But I ask you, you didn't seem too interested when I brought up the subject of Evo 2017 and on a larger scale, esports. So I ask you, one of the hosts of the Super BS Games Cast, as a gamer, why haven't you clocked into esports, and what needs to happen for you to check in to esports a little more often?
Well, I mean, just because I haven't seen it doesn't make me less of a gamer. There are different types
No,
of games.
I wasn't saying you weren't less of a gamer. I'm just saying, as a gamer, because video games, see, we're not just talking about someone who isn't interested in games that just brushes off esports. I mean, there's many of those out there that have personally gone and attacked the esports industry because of it. I'm talking about how esports hasn't gotten a hold, and this is what I've talked about on the show with Christian, that they need to do more to grasp and get the regular individuals out there, the gamers and non-gamers who don't watch esports. They need something to grab them. So I'm asking you, you didn't care at all about Evo 2017, which is just fine. And as a gamer, what do they need to do to grab your attention even more? Whether it's a fighting tournament, whether it's League of Legends or Gears of War or what have you.
For me, it's really they just need to bring attention to it. Like, it doesn't get the media attention that would really like make me care enough to look into it. Like, I didn't even know that this thing was going on this week until you mentioned it. And even still, like I hadn't. There's nothing up on my newsfeed. They need maybe a bigger social media presence, or maybe try to get more coverage from various gaming sources like IGN or Polygon or something, because I don't see a lot of that stuff up on these websites, and that's where I kind of check daily for stuff I may or may not be interested in. As far as like how it would pull me personally into it, I'd want to see that bigger variety of games, because fighting games are fun, but there are a lot of gamers out there who don't actually enjoy fighting games that much. So if it was like maybe like have some racing games in there, or some sort of MMO type thing going on, but it's maybe Borderlands too. That'd be fun to see. But it's just like these. I think they have the type of games on there that appeal to a very small audience of gamers, I guess I'm trying to say. So if they were to create categories that might attract more gamers like me who don't like the fighting games, or maybe even like let us know that this is a thing. Try to get the word out that this is even like a big deal, and we might pay more attention to it.
And I don't disagree with you there, because when you go to IGN, Polygon, Kotaku, whatnot, they are mentioned, but they're not mentioned strong next to the Game of Thrones premiere. When you go see also as well stuff that happened from D23, the Evo tournament, if you go to those sites right now, maybe Kotaku of them all, but Polygon and IGN, the Evo takes a distant third place as far as the news coverage is concerned. And I understand that it's all about traffic to the general audience, but and you're right as far as the different genres out there. As far as racing, there are racing leagues out there. iRacing is probably the best known, but their tournaments are are not heavily, if you have to be within that realm and within that niche to know when the stuff is going on. I couldn't agree with you more. So there needs to be more promotion out there. There's also F1 tournaments from virtual F1 tournaments that are also out there, and they don't get promoted as much as well. So you have to be specifically looking for it to find it, which is, that's not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be out there in front of your face, advertising indeed. And then League of Legends, the international, I mean, the League of Legends tournaments and whatnot are well known during various areas of the world and various pockets of the world, Europe, Asia, and even parts of the United States, as far as from a gamer standpoint. But are they known here in the United States, Canada, and where have you? Are they known to the general consumer at large? Even though they're on TBS, even though they're on ESPN, Disney XD, whatnot, it's growing, but it's still taking that time. I mean, probably the best thing I know of is if you watch the NBA games, you get to see a lot of commercials coming up for the latest Counter-Strike Global Offensive tournaments that are on TBS from time to time. So I guess that's probably the most effective advertising that's done, but there's still a long way to go. I can't blame you for not being aware or not being too interested in what's offered so far. I know the fighting tournaments, as someone who played casually, like you've said before, you played casually as well. I know it takes a little bit to get into, but every now and then you get to see good matches. Whereas in the Super Smash Brothers tournaments, one of them with I believe Armada, they went right through. They just went right through to the finals and with no problems. And it really was, as I've said on the previous episode with Christian, you have that point where it looks like it's a slaughter all the way, and it really doesn't look very fun or very interesting. But you're garnering in those new audiences with exciting stuff indeed. So I understand why you didn't get a chance to see Evo this weekend. And if there's more esports out there to be had, they have to be better promoted indeed. And I'm looking forward to the days where it can be promoted and such a fashion that it's like a baseball game or whatnot. And I think TNT is starting to do that a little bit more and a little bit better than the others. But when ESPN, when Disney XD starts to really throw commercials out there and throw advertising time on it, that's when I definitely think it'll take it up another notch into people's consciousness. And obviously, like with your case with social media, if it was on a higher amount of social media, except for that segment of the I guess the competitive gamers contingent out there that follows it or is in the middle of it, it definitely has to be out there more indeed as well. What are your thoughts on esports? As, with all the great stuff that happened at Evo, like the great tournaments this weekend with Street Fighter V, also as well Tekken 7, and the Super Smash Brothers, and all the great things that happened Evo 2017. Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also share us your thoughts on how esports can even achieve that next level of popularity. Send us that email or just let us know. Send us a message at Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos show. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate it. Josh, before we head on out, it's been a great show here today. But please let us know what is going on again this week with the great things at Humanica Media.
Yeah, Tuesday night in Podcast Radio Network, you can catch Attack of the Humanicans. And if you missed that, you can download it on podcast.com. It'll be up on iTunes soon. We're going to be recording some new What About This weekend, but it probably won't be out till next week. You can also check out a new Super BS tomorrow night. And the last part of episode 2 of Topicocalypse will go up at some point this week. So just keep following along, tune in, check out the old social media pages, and leave some reviews. Always happy for those.
Definitely, indeed. We got several last week for the Pop Culture Cosmos channel on Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes. We truly appreciate all the 5-star ratings last week. We thank you very much for that. And if you rate and review us, we truly appreciate you taking the time to do so. And in fact, we just appreciate you listening to us any way you get our show. So, Josh, there's been a couple of notable passings this weekend, and I just wanted to go out of our way to mention and pay our respects. I know, first off, I caught wind that in fact, you were the first one to spread the news to me that the famous director of Night of the Living Dead, George Romero, has passed away. Share us your thoughts on the influence George Romero's had on you and also on the movie genre.
Yeah, he's kind of what originally awoke my interest in the zombie genre, which was way back when. I was back before, I don't want to sound hipster or anything, but that was back before like Walking Dead show, the TV show came out and everyone started going all zombie and stuff. I remember when I was a kid, I would, not a kid, but like more a teenager, and I would watch like Night of the Living Dead and Diary of the Dead, and like all George A. Romero's movies. I would watch them, and then me and my buddies would always plot out our zombie escape plans from like work when we worked at Best Buy and stuff. So that was fun. But if you think about it, like there's an entire fad that I don't know if you'd even call it a fad, but there's this big movement that has been happening in pop culture for the past, what would you say, 5 or 6 years as far as zombies are concerned?
Exactly. It was probably a little bit more into it maybe 2-3 years ago than it is now currently, but still there is a huge, yeah, it's still there, but it isn't as high as it was maybe 2-3 years ago, correct?
Right. So, you know, and you wouldn't like, and that whole, like The Walking Dead probably would not exist if it weren't for George A. Romero. Like the writers of the comic books were heavily influenced by
23 Days Later, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
That whole series, and then pretty much any zombie series is always a nod to his work as well, correct?
Yeah, he's the originator. So that's, I think we owe a lot to him. We shouldn't just brush his work off. Yeah, in the later parts of his career, some of the stuff got sort of cheesy compared to what we have out there now. Like Danny Boyle did 28 Days Later, and that was a really like interesting take on the zombie genre. But George A. Romero, he laid the foundation for all of this. So just the fact that he is gone, and he was producing a new movie called Road to the Dead, which would have seen, it was supposed to be like a rollerball-esque zombie film, which sounds interesting in theory, but yeah, it's sad to see him go. Like he is truly a legend. If there's anyone who has left his mark on pop culture over the past several years, it is George A. Romero.
Oh yeah, going on 50 years indeed. 28 years later, also as well, World War Z, and pretty much, well, all the zombie, Left 4 Dead 2, Left 4 Dead series as a whole, excuse me, all the zombie stuff for Call of Duty, and pretty much anything out there relating to the zombie genre, owes a debt of gratitude to him, his work, and definitely some very sad news indeed in regards to his passing and what the mark he left on the industry, especially from the zombie and horror genre indeed. And then Academy Award winner, unfortunately as well, Academy Award winner Martin Landau did pass away as well this weekend. Truly an impressive talent as far as his acting is concerned, and obviously, winning the Academy Award for his role in Ed Wood as Bela Lugosi, and also his nominations from earlier. But I know I watched Ed Wood in the theaters, one of the few to do so at that point in time, because it didn't earn all that much at the box office, but it has garnered a new life when it came to home video. Definitely a great performance indeed by Martin Landau, but I will always remember him best as Leonard in one of my top 25 films, which you can read my entire article on at popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, and that is North by Northwest. Definitely his part in it helped play a key role in why I like the movie today. Just his performance. It was one of his first on-screen performances, and it definitely showed what he could bring to the entire film genre as well. So I owe him a bit of gratitude as a movie fan for all of his great work over the years. Indeed. Any last thoughts on Martin Landau? Obviously from the Mission Impossible series that he was doing on television to so much more. In fact, did you know that he turned down the role of Spock in Star Trek?
I did not. I knew he was in North by Northwest, but I had never. Besides that, I had never really followed his career that much. So I was just reading up on him a second ago, and he's sounds like we're missing a great actor.
Definitely, indeed. And if you ever get a chance, I want you to watch Ed Wood. Uh, that is definitely a special movie, shot all in black and white. It is one of Tim Burton's, and here we go back to Tim Burton. It is one of his best films, by a long shot. It also reminds me of the actual original, how bad the Plan 9 from Outer Space film was, and definitely brings to life Bela Lugosi's ill-fated performance, especially from an actor so skilled as Martin Landau, who actually won an Academy Award for the performance. So definitely our thoughts are with their families, and our condolences to both those families indeed, as George Romero and Martin Landau both passed this weekend. Our thoughts are with you from the pop culture cosmos. So that's going to do it from us right here on the show. For Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.